Jake Martinez rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the computer screen. The clock showed 2:47 a.m. He had been working on the same piece of code for 6 hours. His boss wanted the new app ready by Friday, and Jake was running out of time. The small apartment felt stuffy. Jake opened the window and breathed in the cool Denver air. He lived on the 3rd floor of an old building. The rent was cheap, which was good because his job at the tech startup did not pay much. Jake decided to take a break. He grabbed his empty coffee mug and walked to the kitchen. As he waited for the coffee to brew, he heard a loud crash from the alley behind his building. The sound was strange. It was not like a car accident or someone dropping trash cans. It sounded like metal hitting concrete, but with a weird humming noise afterward. Jake looked out his kitchen window. The alley was dark, but he could see something glowing blue near the dumpsters. The glow was soft like moonlight, but brighter. He should probably call the police. But Jake was curious. He had always been the type of person who wanted to know how things worked. When he was a kid, he took apart every toy and gadget he could find. Jake put on his shoes and jacket. He grabbed a flashlight from his kitchen drawer and quietly walked down the stairs. The building was old and the steps creaked under his feet. The back door of the building led to the alley. Jake opened it slowly and stepped outside. The air smelled different. It was like the smell after lightning strikes, sharp and electric. The blue glow was coming from behind the big dumpster. Jake walked toward it, his flashlight ready. His heart was beating fast, but he kept moving forward. When he rounded the corner of the dumpster, Jake stopped breathing. A creature sat on the ground, leaning against the brick wall. It looked like a person, but wrong in every way. It was tall, maybe 7 feet, with skin that seemed to change color from blue to purple in the strange light. It had 4 arms instead of 2, and its hands had long, thin fingers. The creature's head was larger than a human head, and its eyes were huge and dark. It looked hurt. One of its arms was bent at a bad angle, and there was something that might have been blood on its chest. The blood was silver instead of red. Jake wanted to run, but something stopped him. The creature looked scared and in pain. It reminded him of a lost animal. The creature noticed Jake and tried to stand up. It spoke, and Jake was shocked to hear English words. "Please," the creature said. Its voice was soft and musical. "I need help." Jake's mind raced. This was impossible. Aliens were not real. But here was one, sitting in his alley, asking for help in perfect English. "You can talk," Jake said. It was a stupid thing to say, but his brain was not working properly. "Yes," the creature said. "My name is Zara. I am from far away. My ship crashed. I am hurt." Jake looked around the alley. He did not see any spaceship. "Where is your ship?" Zara lifted one of her good arms. She was holding something that looked like a small metal box. She pressed a button on it, and suddenly Jake could see a ship. It was not very big, about the size of a car. It was silver and smooth, with no sharp edges. It sat in the corner of the alley like it had always been there. Jake realized it had some kind of invisibility device. "How long have you been watching us?" Jake asked. "My people have been studying Earth for many years," Zara said. "But I was not supposed to crash. I was only supposed to observe." Jake looked at Zara's injuries again. She needed medical help, but he could not take her to a hospital. People would ask too many questions. The government would get involved. "Can you walk?" Jake asked. "I think so," Zara said. She tried to stand up again. This time Jake helped her. She was lighter than she looked, but still heavy. "I live upstairs," Jake said.
"Can you make it?"
Zara nodded. "Thank you, Jake Martinez." Jake stopped. "How do you know my name?" "We have been watching this area," Zara said. "You work late hours. You solve problems that others cannot solve. You are interesting to us." They walked slowly to the back door. Jake hoped none of his neighbors were awake. He did not know how he would explain bringing a 7-foot alien to his apartment. Getting Zara up the stairs was hard. She tried not to make noise, but her feet were bigger than human feet. Each step sounded loud in the quiet building. Finally, they reached Jake's apartment. He opened the door and helped Zara inside. She looked around with curiosity. "Your home is small," she said. "Yeah, well, I don't make much money," Jake said. "Sit on the couch. Let me get some bandages." Jake went to his bathroom and found his first aid kit. When he came back, Zara was looking at his computer setup. "You write code," she said. "How do you know about coding?" "We study your technology. You are very creative with limited resources." Jake started cleaning Zara's wounds. Her skin felt warm and smooth. The silver blood stopped flowing when he cleaned it. "Why did you crash?" Jake asked. Zara was quiet for a moment. "There was a problem with my ship." I had to make an emergency landing. Jake sensed she was not telling him everything, but he did not push. He had just met his first alien. He could ask more questions later. As Jake worked on her injuries, he noticed something strange. The wounds were healing faster than they should. By the time he finished bandaging her arm, the cut on her chest had already stopped bleeding. Your people heal fast, Jake said. Yes, Zara said. We are different from humans in many ways. But you speak English perfectly. We learn quickly. And we have been listening to your radio and television signals for decades. Jake finished with the bandages and sat back. Zara looked much better already. What happens now? Jake asked. I need time to repair my ship, Zara said. A few days, maybe a week. Then I will leave. Jake nodded. You can stay here. But you need to stay hidden. If people find out about you, I understand. Your government would want to study me. Jake looked at this strange creature sitting on his couch. A few hours ago, his biggest worry was finishing his code by Friday. Now he was hiding an alien in his apartment. Are there more of you? Jake asked. Many more, Zara said. But they do not know I am here. This was supposed to be a secret mission. What kind of mission? Zara looked away. Just observation. We want to understand humans better. Again, Jake felt like she was hiding something, but he was too tired to think about it now. It was almost 4 a.m. and he had to work in the morning. You can sleep on the couch, Jake said. I will get you some blankets. Thank you, Jake. You are very kind. As Jake got ready for bed, he wondered what he had gotten himself into. But looking at Zara, he knew he had made the right choice. She needed help, and Jake had always been the type of person who helped when he could. He just hoped he was not making a huge mistake. 3 weeks passed since Jake found Zara in the alley. During this time, his life had become very strange but also interesting. Zara was a good guest. She was quiet during the day when Jake worked. She learned how to use his television and became fascinated with human shows. She especially liked cooking programs, even though she did not eat human food. Jake learned that Zara's people ate something that looked like small blue crystals. She had a supply in her ship, but it was running low. She told Jake not to worry about it. Her body could go longer without food than humans could. Every day, Zara's injuries got better. Her broken arm healed completely in just 1 week. The cuts on her skin disappeared without leaving scars. Jake had never seen anything like it. Zara was very curious about Jake's work. She would sit quietly while he coded, watching his fingers move across the keyboard. Sometimes she asked questions about why he made certain choices. Why do you write it that way? She would ask. Because it is more efficient, Jake would explain. But there are 17 other ways to write the same function. Why did you choose this one? Her questions made Jake think about his work in new ways. She was right. There were always many ways to solve a problem, but Jake usually picked the solution that felt right to him, even if he could not explain why. Humans have intuition, Jake told her. We feel what the right answer is. My people lost that ability long ago, Zara said. We only use logic now. Jake thought that sounded sad. Some of his best solutions came from hunches and feelings, not just logic. On Friday of the 3rd week, Zara announced that her ship was almost repaired. I will leave tomorrow night, she said. Thank you for everything, Jake. You have been very kind. Jake felt sad about her leaving, but also relieved. Having an alien in his apartment was stressful. He worried every day that someone would discover his secret. That Saturday evening, Jake said goodbye to Zara. She had fixed her ship and was ready to go home. Jake watched from his window as she walked to the alley. A few minutes later, he saw a brief flash of light. Then nothing. Jake went to bed that night feeling lonely. His apartment seemed too quiet without Zara there. But the next morning, Jake woke up to find Zara sitting in his kitchen. You're back, Jake said, confused. Yes, Zara said. I detected hostile entities in this area. They are tracking your biometric signature. My what? Your biological patterns. Heartbeat, breathing, brainwaves. Someone is hunting you, Jake. I cannot leave you unprotected. Jake felt scared. Who would be hunting me? I am just a programmer. I do not know yet, but I will find out. Until then, I must stay to protect you. Jake wanted to ask more questions, but Zara seemed very serious. If aliens were hunting him, he definitely needed protection. Okay, Jake said. You can stay. That night, Zara did something new. Instead of sleeping on the couch, she set up a sleeping area in Jake's bedroom. I need to stay close to monitor the threat, she explained. Jake felt uncomfortable. His bedroom was small. With Zara's sleeping mat on the floor, there was barely room to walk around. Could you not monitor from the living room? Jake asked. No. The threats are most likely to attack while you sleep. I must be here to respond quickly. Jake did not argue. If someone was really hunting him, he wanted Zara close by. Over the next few days, strange things started happening around the city. The traffic lights near Jake's building began malfunctioning. The internet in his neighborhood went down twice. The power grid had several small failures. Each time something went wrong, Zara would check her devices and nod grimly. They are testing the infrastructure, she said, preparing for something. Jake found it weird that all these problems happened near his home. But Zara always had explanations. They are mapping escape routes, she would say. Or, they are looking for weaknesses in your defenses. Jake's friend Lisa called him on Thursday. Hey, are you okay? She asked. I heard there have been a lot of technical problems in your area. Yeah, it has been strange, Jake said. But I am fine. Do you want to grab dinner this weekend? I feel like I have not seen you in weeks. Jake looked at Zara, who was listening to the conversation. She shook her head slightly. I am pretty busy right now, Jake said. Maybe next week. Okay, but call me if you need anything. After Jake hung up, Zara looked pleased. Good. You should avoid contact with others until the threat is gone. Your friend could be in danger if she is around you. Jake felt bad about lying to Lisa. But he trusted Zara. She knew more about alien threats than he did. That weekend, Jake noticed that Zara had become very interested in his daily routine. She asked detailed questions about how he solved problems at work. She wanted to know how he decided what to eat for breakfast. She even asked about his dreams. Why do you always find creative solutions when others cannot? Zara asked. I do not know. I just try different things until something works. But how do you know which things to try? Jake thought about it. I guess I just feel it. Like when I am stuck on a problem, I try to think about it differently. Maybe I imagine I'm explaining it to a child, or I think about what the opposite solution would be. Zara took notes on a small device. Fascinating. Your mind makes connections that mine cannot. What do you mean? My people think in straight lines. A leads to B leads to C, but you think in circles and spirals. You make jumps that seem random but somehow work. Jake had never thought about his thinking that way. Is that bad? No, Zara said quickly. It is remarkable. My people have forgotten how to think like that. One night, Jake woke up and found Zara standing by his window looking out at the street. What is wrong? Jake whispered. I thought I detected movement, but it was just a cat. Jake looked outside. He did not see any cat. Are you sure someone is hunting me? It has been over a week and nothing has happened. These entities are patient. They are studying your patterns before they strike. Jake was starting to have doubts. The threats Zara described never seemed to materialize. But every time he questioned her, she would show him readings on her devices that meant nothing to him. The next day, Jake was walking to the grocery store when all the streetlights on his block went out at once. Then they came back on. Then they went out again. Jake called Zara on his phone. The streetlights are going crazy. Get home immediately, Zara said. This is a direct attack on the infrastructure. Jake hurried home. When he got there, Zara was scanning the area with several devices. They are definitely targeting you, she said. I detected massive energy fluctuations right before the lights failed. But why me? Jake asked. I am nobody special. Zara looked at him with her big dark eyes. You are more special than you know, Jake Martinez. That night, as Jake tried to sleep, he thought about everything that had happened. Zara had been living in his bedroom for a week now. She said it was for security, but Jake was starting to wonder. She seemed more interested in watching him than watching for threats. She took notes on everything he did. She asked endless questions about how his mind worked. Jake remembered what she had said the night they met. Her people had been studying Earth. They found humans interesting. Maybe she was not protecting him from threats, maybe she was studying him. But if that was true, why was she pretending? And what did she really want? Jake decided he needed to find out. Tomorrow he would start asking Zara some harder questions. He needed to know what was really going on. As he finally fell asleep, Jake could hear Zara moving quietly around his room. She was doing something with her devices, taking measurements of something. But what? In the morning, Jake would start looking for answers. He had always been good at solving problems. Now he had the biggest puzzle of his life to figure out, and he was starting to suspect that the answer might change everything. Jake decided to call his friend Lisa. He needed someone else to look at the strange things happening around his neighborhood. Lisa worked in cybersecurity, so she knew about technology and networks. Lisa, can you do me a favor? Jake asked when she answered the phone. Sure, what do you need? Can you check if there have been any unusual network activities in my area? Like power outages or internet problems? That is a weird question, but okay. Give me your address again. Jake gave her the information. Lisa said she would call him back in a few hours. Zara was in the kitchen when Jake finished the call. She looked worried. Who did you call? She asked. Just a friend. She might be able to help us figure out who is causing these problems. Jake, I told you not to involve others. Your friend could be in danger. Lisa is smart. She can help us. Zara shook her head. This is not a good idea. The entities hunting you will notice if you start investigating. But Jake had made up his mind. He wanted answers and he was not going to wait for Zara to give them to him. That afternoon, Lisa called back. Jake, I found something strange, she said. All the technical problems in your area are not random. What do you mean? Someone is causing them on purpose. The power outages, the internet failures, even the traffic light problems. They all trace back to sophisticated signal interference. Jake felt his stomach tighten. What kind of signal interference? I do not know. It is like nothing I have seen before. The signals are too complex for any human technology I know about. Jake looked at Zara, who was pretending to watch television. But he could tell she was listening to every word. Can you trace where the signals are coming from? Jake asked. That is the weird part. They seem to come from multiple locations, but they all center around your building. It is like someone is running experiments on your neighborhood. After Jake hung up, he confronted Zara. Lisa says someone is causing the technical problems on purpose. Do you know anything about that? Zara looked uncomfortable. Perhaps the entities are more advanced than I thought. Or perhaps you are causing the problems yourself. Zara stood up quickly. Jake, you do not understand what you are saying. Then explain it to me. Really explain it. Zara was quiet for a long moment. Then she sat back down. You are right, she said. I have been making minor adjustments to the local infrastructure. Jake felt angry and confused. Why? To study how you respond to problems. Humans are fascinating when they face unexpected challenges. So there are no entities hunting me? No, there never were. Jake could not believe what he was hearing. You lied to me. You have been lying for weeks. Yes, why? Zara looked down at her hands. Because I did not want to leave. And I knew you would not let me stay if you knew the truth. What is the truth? Zara took a deep breath. I am not a scout. I am a cultural anthropologist. My people sent me to study humans. Your people? The Kethvar Collective. We are a very old civilization. We have advanced technology, perfect cities, and long lives. But we have a problem. What kind of problem? We are dying. Not from disease or war, but from stagnation. We have solved all our problems. We have perfected everything, and now we cannot create anything new. Jake was starting to understand. So you came here to study us? Yes. Humans are the only species we have found that still innovates. You still create. You still adapt. We need to learn how you do it. And you chose me specifically? I watched many humans before I chose you. You have something special, Jake. When you face a problem, you find solutions that no one else thinks of. You make connections that seem impossible. Jake remembered all the questions Zara had asked about his work and his thinking. You have been studying me like a lab rat. Not like that. I have genuine respect for what you can do. My people lost the ability to think creatively centuries ago. We became too logical, too perfect. What happened to your ship crash story? I did crash, but it was intentional. I needed a reason to make contact without your government knowing. Jake felt betrayed. Everything Zara had told him was a lie. But he also felt curious. If her people were so advanced, why did they need to study humans? What exactly did your people lose? Jake asked. The ability to see new possibilities. When we face a problem, we can only see the obvious solutions. We cannot make intuitive leaps. We cannot take creative risks. But you seemed pretty creative when you made up all those lies about entities hunting me. Zara looked ashamed. That was desperation, not creativity. I followed a simple deception protocol. Real creativity is what you do every day. Jake walked to his computer and looked at the code he had been working on. This does not feel creative to me. It just feels like problem solving. But that is exactly what we have lost. You see a problem and immediately start thinking of multiple ways to solve it. You try things that might not work. You take risks. Everyone does that. No, Jake, my people do not. When we see a problem, we calculate the most efficient solution and implement it. We never experiment. We never guess. We never try something just to see what happens. Jake thought about this. That sounds boring. It is. And it is killing us. We have not made a real breakthrough in science or art in over 2,000 years. So what do you want from me? I want to understand how your mind works, how you make creative leaps, how you solve problems that have no obvious answers. Jake sat down on the couch next to Zara. You could have just asked me. You did not need to lie about alien hunters. Would you have said yes if I told you the truth? Jake thought about it. Probably not. Having an alien study his brain sounded scary and invasive. I do not know, he admitted. I was afraid you would say no, or that you would want payment, or that you would tell your government. This was simpler. And sleeping in my room? Was that part of your study too? Zara looked embarrassed. Yes, I needed to observe your sleep patterns, your dreams, your recovery cycles. But also what? Also, I wanted to be close to you. Watching you work and think and live has been the most interesting experience of my life. Jake did not know how to feel about that. Part of him was flattered. Part of him was angry about being deceived. And part of him was worried about what this meant for the future. What happens now? Jake asked. I should report back to my people and return home. What will you tell them? That humans possess cognitive abilities we need to understand better. That you might be the key to saving our civilization. Jake felt a chill. What does that mean? It means they will want to study you more thoroughly. And not just you, all of humanity. That does not sound good, Zara nodded grimly. My people do not understand the concept of asking permission. They believe that advanced civilizations have the right to study primitive ones. We are not primitive. I know that now. But my people do not. They see your wars, your pollution, your conflicts, and they think you are children who need guidance. What kind of guidance? The kind that turns creative, chaotic species into logical, orderly ones. Like what happened to us. Jake understood now. Zara's people wanted to fix humanity the same way they had fixed themselves. And in the process, they would destroy everything that made humans special. How long do we have? Jake asked. I was supposed to report back 2 weeks ago. If I do not contact them soon, they will send others to find me. Others who will not be as nice as you. Correct. Jake stood up and started pacing. This was a much bigger problem than he had expected. It was not just about him anymore. It was about all of humanity. Can you contact them and tell them you need more time? I can try. But they will want preliminary results. What kind of results? Data on human cognitive patterns. Examples of creative problem solving. Proof that humans are worth studying. Jake had an idea. It was risky, but it might work. What if we gave them something they do not expect? What do you mean? What if instead of studying me like a lab animal, we work together? You help me understand how your people think, and I help you remember how to be creative. Zara looked surprised. You would do that? Even after I lied to you? I am still angry about the lies, but I understand why you did it. And if your people are planning to fix humanity, we need to find another solution. It could be dangerous. If my people think you are corrupting me instead of being studied by me, then we better make sure our plan works. Jake sat back down next to Zara. Tell me everything about your people. How they think, how they make decisions, what they fear. If we are going to convince them that humanity is worth preserving, we need to understand them first. Zara smiled for the first time since she had confessed the truth. You are already thinking like a strategist. This is exactly the kind of creative problem solving my people have forgotten how to do. Then let us hope it is enough to save both our species. 3 days after Zara told Jake the truth, everything changed. Jake was working at his computer when all the lights in his apartment went out. Then they came back on. But now they were brighter than before and they had a blue tint to them. Zara, Jake called. Did you do that? Zara came running from the kitchen. Her face was pale and she looked scared. No, she said. That was not me. She pulled out one of her devices and started scanning. The device made sounds Jake had never heard before. Urgent beeping and clicking noises. They are here, Zara whispered. Your people? Yes, a command ship. Right above us. Jake looked out his window, but he could not see anything unusual. Just normal sky and clouds. I cannot see it. It is cloaked, but it is there. Very large. Much larger than my scout ship. Zara's device made a new sound. She looked at it and her expression became even more worried. Commander Veltar is requesting immediate contact, she said. Who is Commander Veltar? My superior. The one who sent me on this mission. Before Jake could ask more questions, something appeared in the middle of his living room. It was like a window made of light, showing the inside of what looked like a spaceship. A figure stepped through the light window. It was another Kethvar, but different from Zara. This one was taller and had darker skin. Instead of 4 arms, it had 6. Its eyes were cold and calculating. Zara, the newcomer said. Its voice was deeper than Zara's and had no emotion in it. You are late with your report. Zara stood straighter like a soldier. Commander Veltar. I was gathering additional data. Veltar looked around Jake's apartment with disgust. This primitive dwelling is where you have been conducting your research? Yes, sir. Veltar's gaze fell on Jake. Jake felt like he was being examined by a machine instead of a living being. And this is the human subject? His name is Jake Martinez. He demonstrates exceptional creative problem-solving abilities. Irrelevant, Veltar said. Your preliminary report was due 14 solar cycles ago. The council has already made their decision based on your previous observations. Jake found his voice. What decision? Veltar looked at Jake like he was surprised a lab animal could talk. The Kethver Collective has determined that humanity poses a significant threat to galactic stability. How are we a threat? Jake asked. We can barely get to our own moon reliably. Your species exhibits dangerous levels of unpredictability and chaotic thinking. Left unchecked, you will eventually develop advanced technology while retaining your primitive mindset. Jake looked at Zara. What does that mean? Zara answered quietly. They think humans will become powerful but stay reckless. That you will cause problems for other species. Correct, Veltar said. History shows that chaotic species either destroy themselves or become a plague on the galaxy. We will not allow either outcome. So what are you planning to do? Jake asked, though he was afraid to hear the answer. We will implement the guidance protocol. Your species will undergo evolutionary adjustment to remove dangerous traits while preserving useful ones. Jake felt sick. You mean you are going to change us? We will optimize you. Remove the chaos and unpredictability. Enhance logic and order. Make you like us. But that will destroy everything that makes us human. It will make you civilized. Jake turned to Zara. Is this what you wanted? Zara looked torn. I told you my people do not ask permission. They believe advanced civilizations know what is best. What if we refuse? Jake asked Veltar. Refusal is not possible. We have ships positioned around your major population centers. The process will begin immediately. Through the light window, Jake could see more Kethvar working at control panels. Screens showed images of cities around Earth. New York, London, Tokyo, Beijing. All of them had invisible alien ships hovering overhead. You cannot do this, Jake said. We can and we will, Veltar replied. We have done it before with other species. Other species? The Zeph were once as chaotic as humans. Now they are productive members of the galactic community. The court were violent and unpredictable. We helped them find peace. Jake understood. The Kethvar had been doing this for a long time. Finding species they thought were too chaotic and fixing them. What happened to their creativity? Their individuality? Unnecessary complications were removed. They became efficient. You turned them into robots and we gave them order and purpose. Jake looked at Zara again. Is this really what you want for us? Zara was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke to Veltar. Commander, I request additional time to complete my research. Unnecessary. We have sufficient data from your previous reports. But, sir, I have discovered that human creativity may be more valuable than we initially assessed. Veltar's expression did not change. Explain. Their chaotic thinking allows them to solve problems we cannot. They make connections that our logic systems cannot predict. Chaos is not a solution. It is a problem to be corrected. But what if chaos is actually a strength? Zara asked. Jake could see that this was a radical idea for the Kethvar. Veltar looked at Zara like she had said something insane. Chaos is the opposite of efficiency, Veltar said. It leads to waste, conflict, and unpredictable outcomes. Yes, but it also leads to breakthroughs, to innovations we never considered. Give me an example. Zara gestured toward Jake's computer. Jake solved a coding problem yesterday that our best systems could not solve. He used intuition and creative leaps instead of pure logic. One primitive human achieved what our systems could not? Yes, and he did it in 6 hours. Our systems had been working on similar problems for months. Veltar walked over to Jake's computer. Show me. Jake was nervous, but he opened his code editor and showed Veltar the program he had been working on. This is an efficiency algorithm for data processing, Jake explained. Instead of following the standard logical path, I tried something different. Veltar studied the code. Jake could see confusion in the alien's eyes. This approach should not work, Veltar said. But it does, Jake replied. Sometimes the illogical path is actually more logical in the end. Impossible. Jake ran the program. It processed a large data set in half the time that conventional algorithms would take. Veltar stared at the results. How did you know to try this approach? I did not know. I guessed. I experimented. I tried things that might not work. But guessing is inefficient. Experimentation wastes resources sometimes, but sometimes it leads to breakthroughs that pure logic cannot achieve. Veltar turned to Zara. Is this typical of human problem solving? Yes, they constantly try new approaches. They take risks. They innovate. Innovation is chaos. Maybe, Zara said. But maybe chaos is what we have been missing. Jake could see that Veltar was struggling with this concept. The idea that chaos could be valuable went against everything the Kethvar believed. Even if this is true, Veltar said, it does not change our decision. Chaos is too dangerous to allow. What if there was a way to have both? Jake asked. Order and chaos together? Impossible. They are opposites, are they? What if chaos is just order that we do not understand yet? Veltar looked at Jake with new interest. Explain, Jake thought quickly. Your people achieved perfect order by removing chaos. But what if you went too far? What if you removed the chaos that actually creates better order? You're suggesting that disorder creates order? I am suggesting that the right kind of disorder creates better order than forced order ever could. Veltar was quiet for a long time. Jake could see the alien was processing this idea, trying to fit it into its logical framework. The Council will not accept this theory without proof, Veltar finally said. Then give us time to prove it, Zara said quickly. How much time? 1 lunar cycle. Let Jake and me work together. Let us show you what humans can achieve when they work with advanced technology, instead of being controlled by it. Veltar considered this. And if you cannot prove your theory, then we will submit to the guidance protocol willingly. Jake looked at Zara in shock. She was betting both of their futures on this plan. Very well, Veltar said. 1 lunar cycle. But if you fail, the protocol will be implemented on the entire planet. The light window closed and Veltar disappeared. Jake and Zara were alone again. Jake felt the weight of what had just happened. Did you just bet the future of humanity on our ability to prove that chaos is good? Jake asked. Yes, Zara said. And if we fail, your people will lobotomize our entire species? Yes. Jake sat down heavily on his couch. No pressure or anything. Zara sat next to him. Jake, I believe we can do this. But we need to work together. Really together? What do you mean? I need to remember how to be creative. And you need to learn how to think on a galactic scale. We have 1 month to save both our species. Jake looked at Zara. Despite everything that had happened, he trusted her, and he had always been good at solving impossible problems. Okay, he said. Let us save the galaxy. Jake stared at his computer screen for the 100th time that week. He had been working on the same problem for 6 days straight. How do you prove that chaos is valuable to a species that thinks chaos is evil? Zara sat next to him, reading through databases of Kethvar technology and philosophy. She had been teaching Jake about her people's advanced systems while trying to remember what creativity felt like. Their quantum processing systems are incredible, Jake said, but they are also completely predictable. That is the point, Zara replied. Predictability equals efficiency, but predictability also equals stagnation. If you always get the expected result, you never discover anything new. Jake had an idea. It was crazy, but most of his best ideas were crazy. What if we created something that your people's systems cannot predict? He asked. Like what? A computer virus, but not a destructive one. A creative one. Zara looked confused. I do not understand. What if we created a program that carried human creativity inside it? Something that could teach your people how to think differently. How would that work? Jake started typing rapidly. Your people's computers are quantum systems, right? They process information in multiple dimensions? Yes. So they can handle complex abstract concepts? Of course. Then we encode human thought patterns into the virus. We make it carry the essence of creativity. Zara watched Jake work. But how do you encode creativity? We do not encode creativity itself. We encode the conditions that create creativity. Jake opened multiple programming windows. Look, creativity comes from making unexpected connections. So we create a program that forces your people's computers to make random connections between unrelated data. Random connections are inefficient. Exactly. And that inefficiency will drive your people crazy. Their logical minds will try to find patterns in the randomness, and in trying to understand the patterns, they will start thinking creatively. Zara began to understand. You want to force them to experience chaos so they remember what creativity feels like. Yes, but we also need to show them that chaos can produce valuable results. Jake worked for 3 more hours, writing code that mixed logical structures with random elements. He embedded patterns that looked like chaos but actually contained hidden order. This is brilliant, Zara said, watching him work. But how do we get it into their systems? We do not. We let them take it. What do you mean? Jake explained his plan. Your people are monitoring Earth's communications, right? They are studying our technology? Yes. Then we make our virus look like a normal human computer program. We hide it in something they would want to study. Like what? Jake smiled. Like the solution to a problem their best computers cannot solve. Over the next week, Jake and Zara worked together to create the perfect bait. They took one of the problems that Veltar had said Kethvar systems could not solve, and Jake created a human solution for it. But hidden inside the solution was Jake's creativity virus. This is really dangerous, Zara warned. If they discover what we are doing, they will implement the guidance protocol immediately, Jake finished. I know, but if we do nothing, they will implement it anyway. Jake called Lisa and asked for her help without telling her about the aliens. I need you to help me distribute a program across the internet, he said. What kind of program? A solution to a mathematical problem. I want it to be available for anyone to study. Okay, but why? Just trust me. It is important. Lisa helped Jake upload the program to dozens of servers around the world. Within hours, it was available on universities, research centers, and technology companies across the globe. Jake knew that Kethvar would find it quickly. They were monitoring all human technological development. 2 days later, Zara's communication device activated. They took the bait, she said. Command ships across the galaxy are downloading our program. How long before they realize what it really does? Not long. Kethvar computers are fast. Jake and Zara waited. There was nothing else they could do now. On the 3rd day, something unexpected happened. Jake's phone started ringing constantly. Lisa was calling. Jake, something weird is happening with your program, she said when he answered. What do you mean? It is spreading. Not just the program itself, but the ideas behind it. People all over the world are using your approach to solve other problems. Jake had not expected this. What kind of problems? Everything. Climate change, disease research, economic modeling. Your chaos-based approach is inspiring breakthroughs everywhere. Jake looked at Zara. Maybe humans were ready for this kind of thinking too. Over the next few days, reports came in from around the world. Scientists were making unexpected discoveries. Artists were creating impossible beauty. Engineers were solving problems that had stumped them for years, all because Jake's program had reminded humans that sometimes the best solutions came from embracing chaos rather than fighting it. Then Veltar appeared in Jake's apartment again. What have you done? The Kethvar commander demanded. We gave you what you asked for, Jake replied. Proof that chaos can be valuable. Your virus has infected our entire network. Our computers are producing unpredictable results. Are the results useful? Zara asked. Veltar paused. Some of them are remarkable. Our scientists have made advances in energy production that we thought were impossible. Because your computers are finally making creative leaps instead of just logical steps, Jake explained. But the chaos is spreading. Our people are starting to think differently. Is that bad? Zara asked. I do not know. For the first time in centuries, I do not know what will happen next. Jake could see something changing in Veltar's expression. The cold calculation was being replaced by something that looked like wonder. How does it feel? Jake asked gently. Terrifying, exciting, alive. Veltar looked at his hands like he was seeing them for the first time. I had forgotten what it felt like to not know something. That is what we lost when we chose perfect order, Zara said. The joy of discovery. But what about the dangers of chaos? Veltar asked. What about the conflicts and waste? There will still be conflicts, Jake admitted. But they will be conflicts that lead to growth instead of stagnation. And there will still be waste. But it will be the waste that comes from experimentation, not the waste that comes from fear. Veltar was quiet for a long time. Jake could see the alien's mind struggling with these new concepts. The council is divided, Veltar finally said. Half want to stop the virus and proceed with the guidance protocol. Half want to study it further. What do you want? Zara asked. I want to understand. For the first time in my life, I want to learn something new. Jake smiled. Then you are already creative again. Veltar looked at Jake with new respect. Your species has given mine a gift we did not know we needed. And your species has given us a challenge that made us better than we were. What happens now? Zara asked. Veltar considered this. Now we learn from each other. Your people can teach us creativity. Our people can teach you wisdom. No more guidance protocol? No, but also no more isolation. Both our species need what the other has. Jake felt relief wash over him. So we work together? We try. It will not be easy. Some of my people will resist change. Some of yours will fear us. But it is possible. For the first time in millennia, anything is possible. Veltar prepared to leave. Zara, the council has asked you to serve as our first ambassador to Earth. And Jake? Jake Martinez will be humanity's first ambassador to the Kethvar Collective. After Veltar left, Jake and Zara sat in comfortable silence. So you are staying, Jake said. If you want me to. I do, but no more sleeping in my room for fake security reasons. Zara laughed. What if I sleep in your room for real security reasons? What kind of real security? The security of knowing that someone who cares about you is close by. Jake looked at Zara. Over the past month, she had become more than just an alien studying him. She had become a friend, maybe more than a friend. I would like that, Jake said. Good, because I have a lot more to learn about being human, and I have a lot to learn about being galactic. Outside Jake's window, invisible ships from dozens of species were arriving to study the alliance between humans and the Kethvar. The galaxy was about to become a much more interesting place. Jake opened his computer and started writing new code. This time he was not just solving problems for one species. He was helping to build a future where order and chaos could coexist. Zara watched him work, taking notes not for her superiors, but for herself. She was learning how to hope again, how to dream of possibilities that did not exist yet. For the first time in thousands of years, the future was uncertain, and that uncertainty was the most beautiful thing either of them had ever experienced. Jake paused in his coding and looked at Zara. Ready to save the galaxy again tomorrow? With you? I am ready for anything. And in a universe that had almost forgotten how to change, two very different minds began building something entirely new together.